with Biden leading the polls, President Trump needed a strong performance last night. Do you think he got it?
I think he did. I think he did a lot better in this performance than he did the last time. As a matter of fact, just having a more civil exchange, I think, was beneficial to him. Certainly, his support base is going to stick with him no matter what. But I think that around the margins, people were more satisfied with his performance this time than last time. So I think he did a lot better this time than he did the last time.
Governor Patrick, minimum wage and the impact on unemployment continues to be a hot topic that is widely debated by economists. Do you think President Trump's his argument on raising a minimum wage to $15, that being a state decision versus a federal decision, whether that argument carried merit at a time when we're still seeing so many states disproportionately impacted by COVID-19?
Well, I think, first of all, just to piggyback on Joe's comment, I do think the tone was better last night, but the substance was the same. The misleading and sometimes outright lying and the cruelty of some of the policies of this administration were on full display. I think when you come to the minimum wage, all of our historic experience shows that when the minimum wage goes up, so does job growth and economic growth. And that was our experience in Massachusetts as well. And for the folks who have heartburn or outright opposition to raising the minimum wage, I say to you, try living on it before you oppose it. We have folks who are working 2 and 3 jobs today just to survive. And that is not the America that Joe Biden envisions, and frankly, that I think most Americans envision ought to be our future.
Joe, on economic matters, a clear contrast was certainly on climate change and energy. President Trump pushing for U.S. Independence and Joe Biden making the case for this transition to renewable energy. How do you think that went over in states like Texas that are so reliant on oil?
Well, certainly in places like Texas and other places that where oil is important, he didn't make any new friends by his comment about which seeks to eliminate the oil industry. So I think from that standpoint, he didn't make any new friends. But I think for the most part, beauty was in the eye of the beholder. I think if you were watching this debate and you were a Trump supporter, I think that you were heartened by what you saw. I think if you watched the debate and you were a Biden supporter and you were looking for him to hit on points that were important to you as a Democrat, I think you were pretty much heartened. And that's because at the end of the day, there really aren't a lot of undecideds at this point. For the most part, people are pretty much dug in. They know the candidate for whom they're going to vote. And I think they heard pretty much what they wanted to hear. And if there's anything left on the margins, I mean, with suburban women or with African Americans, I think that neither candidate disappointed much. I think that Biden certainly has the upper hand with suburban women, but I think Donald Trump might cut off win a few African American votes by virtue of his work with HBCUs and also by what he's done with criminal sentencing reform, which is relatively significant, and his attacks on Joe Biden as it relates to his support of the crime bill in the 90s certainly might tick away 1 or 2 points from voters of color. But I think for the most part, Biden will get the majority of black votes. But Donald Trump does well if he ticks off a few points from black voters by virtue of what he's done with HBCUs and criminal sentencing reform.
Governor Patrick, you agree or disagree with that?
Well, I think that I agree with some of that. I will say that this notion that we can't have a clean and carbon-free future without turning all the lights off is a ridiculous point that we keep hearing from the other side, and that isn't proven out by experience. In Massachusetts, we moved aggressively to become one of the most energy efficient and green-focused states in America. Coming out of recession with clean tech jobs, it was one of the fastest-growing sectors. Wind is one of the largest, Texas is one of the largest producers of wind energy today. We didn't end the Stone Age because we ran out of stone. We ended the Stone Age because we had a better idea. And we have a better idea with a carbon-free future and lots of opportunity to transition people who are in the oil and gas industry today to that future and create great jobs as we go.
Joe, well, one of the biggest foreign policy challenges, experts would say, will be China going forward. Do you think we learn more about President Trump or the former Vice President Joe Biden's China policy?
In
I don't
my
know that
case,
we learned anything new.
Joe, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Go ahead.
No, please.
Yeah.
It's all right.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that we learned anything new with regards to where the candidates stand on China. I think that they were effective. Certainly, President Trump made an effort to point out what he thought were Joe Biden's weaknesses with regards to China. I don't know that it moved the needle in terms of the vote. Again, I think if you were a Republican, you were pleased with Donald Trump's performance and you liked what he said about China and what he's doing. If you were a Democrat, you were, I think, for the most part, prone to believe Joe Biden. So I don't think that there was much in the way of moving the needle. So I don't think there was any real progress made. There was no new information that was set out last night that I think moved the needle in any significant way.
Running out of time, but Governor, quick word.
I think that's right. That's where I am, and I think that's where most people were. I think what you saw with Joe Biden is not just bluster, but firmness and an understanding that confronting China, if that's the right word, is a collaborative undertaking and require working together with our allies in the region and beyond. And that is not the approach that President Trump has taken. And I think that's one of the reasons why he's been a lackluster performer in that respect.